Hey guys, this time I'm going to try to track down a water leak. I cannot stand pulling my car out of the carport and finding puddles on the ground, and they're never big, but it's annoying. I would like to have it completely dry, and I don't think it's too much to ask for. This particular one has been nagging me for a while. It's a water leak. You can tell uh, it's not coming from any of the hoses, although I did have a couple of those. I've been just trying to eliminate all of them one by one until there's just nothing left. This particular one's going to be a pain, and I'll show you what I got so far. Give me a second. So follow me. You don't have any choice. You're coming with me. All right. So on a Ford Windsor, water leaks are a pain because of the way that the motor is put together. All right, looking up there above the oil filter, you can see the blue casting, and it's kind of a double stack there. The water pump is the furthest towards the front of the vehicle, and then that casting behind it is the timing cover. And yeah, that's similar to a lot of vehicles, but it's kind of difficult for you to tell. But the water leak is coming out of the gasket that's between the timing cover and the block itself, and it's dripping down the side of the block and coming out by the oil pan rail down here. And it took me a while to track it down. I used a box. You could see a little puddle on top of this box. At first I just thought it was the concrete sweating, and some of it was, but no, I got a leak. I have a new part of my, I guess, refurbishment projects was to replace the water pump and the radiator anyways, now that I'm making some more demands on the cooling system. And so the water pump had to come off anyways. However, I didn't really want to disturb the timing cover, and that's because the timing cover ties into the oil pan on the bottom, and that makes it a pain in the, well, it just makes it a pain. You can take the timing cover off without disturbing the oil pan. What you wind up with is a split in the gasket, and that can lead to other leaks, either oil or water, usually oil. I haven't decided whether I'm going to go to the trouble of loosening up and dropping the oil pan a little bit and trying to get a full gasket in there or not. I'll make that decision once I get everything torn down. But essentially, the water pump has to come off. And so my next project, or this project, I guess, will be to replace the water pump and the radiator. And the hoses are brand new, so I'm not going to replace those, although I'm really still on the fence about this guy right here. I don't really care for it. I'm not sure I like the way it looks, and it kind of impinges on the air filter a little bit more than I want it to, which in turn puts more stress on the neck here. And I priced putting together a series of custom silicone couplers and reducers. If it was just one size, it would be trivial and not very expensive, but the thermostat neck is a wider opening than the radiator neck, and so if you start pricing out the 90-degree bends, the reducer, the small sections that go in there, basically need 390s and a reducer and some other stuff, and it wound up being almost $100. And I think I paid almost $80 for this thing right here. It's $59.99 maybe. You can double check that. It's easy search on Summit. But I don't mind spending money. I just don't like spending dumb money. And to me, that's dumb money. I probably could make the original Ford radiator hose fit, or some, adaptation of that original radiator hose. But anyhow, maybe I'll sort that out at a later date. Before I get too off topic, looking in here from the top, let me grab my shop light one more time. Looking in from the top, you might be able to see that there's a little bit of water residue down there, and I've dried that up, and it keeps coming back, so I know I've got some seepage. And so essentially the water pump's got to come off, and I'm going to fix that freaking leak once and for all. Well, at least once. We'll see about the for all part, but I'm going to get it taken care of. So yeah, we're going to pull the water pump. We're going to pull that stupid timing cover off. The timing gears, I'm sure, are still fine. It's a roller. I replaced that when I rebuilt the engine, so I'm not going to get into the timing set while I'm in there. Just don't see any reason to. So that's going to be the order of the day. So I guess in no particular order, what's got to happen is the power steering pump's got to be loosened, the alternator bracketry's got to be loosened, these pulleys have to come off, obviously the belt, and that's really pretty much it. I don't have a smog pump to worry about, or an air conditioning compressor, and so that's good news. But I may need to make myself some room as I do this. And so let's see, I'll show you the water pump and the radiator that I got. The water pump is a Edelbrock Victor unit, and it's supposed to have all the correct OEM casting points, and that's going to be important for some of the things that I have to connect this to, like the alternator bracket and so forth. And it came with a couple of gaskets as well, and the new thermostat for one thing. That's one thing, and I'll tell you, on the thermostat, I can't remember if I've gone over this or not, but I'm going to get an honest to goodness Motorcraft one, because I'm tired of thermostats that don't work. And so I don't know if you can see that. This is a 180-degree unit, and that's fine. And there's the part number if you're curious. Get a little closer there. There we go. And it also came with, I also went ahead and bought a new set of bolts, because the Ford bolts that attach the radiator and the stock accessories are very oddball and awkward. And unfortunately, late model Resto has a kit that duplicates the original water pump and also the timing cover bolts. But I think I'll just reuse the timing cover bolts that are on there after I spruce them up a little bit. I'm not missing any. And some of them I won't need the extra functionality of the added weirdness, and I'll tell you that when I get to the individual ones. They're all very specific lengths, but the ones that are a convenient length I'll probably replace with stainless, because I just think things in water pumps need to be stainless. And why they use and continue to use zinc plated steel or just regular steel is beyond me. It's just cheaping out on something that's not very expensive to begin with. So we're going to work that. The radiator is a SVE unit from late model Resto. If you want to find that, it's a very easy search. Yeah, I'm not big on putting part numbers in the description. How hard is it to just Google something really fast? I never look at them when I watch videos. If you guys do and you want to know, well, I love you guys, but don't be lazy. Just go find it. It's not hard. All right, so that's the radiator itself. It was only 180 bucks. But it's got most of the features that I wanted in it, and quite honestly, the stock radiator was doing a really good job of keeping the engine cool. In fact, too cool in some respects. But this one's got a significantly bigger core. It's all aluminum construction. It's TIG welded all the way around. It's not got a bunch of plastic on it. There are more expensive ones that you can buy, much more expensive ones that you can buy. But I really just didn't see the justification in the price. This is it's not a universal fit. It's designed to fit the Fox body, and so I shouldn't have too many problems. I've already looked at the dimensions, got plenty of room between the water pump and my fan here, so I'm not going to run any problems. It's wider, but only the core is wider. The mounting areas are about the same, but it just fills in the core a little bit more. You can see here where the core of the stock radiator is much thinner than the actual end tanks, and so the new one, pretty much the core goes the full width of the end tanks, and so that in itself will give some more area. And okay, back to the thermostat real quick. I've replaced this thermostat probably 4 times in the last couple of years, and it's just dumb. And I've gone from a 165 to a 195 to a 180, and I don't know why, but they don't seem to work. And it's not because I'm putting them in wrong. I know how to put a thermostat in. I can show you logs from when I originally built the car with the original Ford thermostat, how the temperature would climb steadily and quickly up to the point where the thermostat would open, and then it would hold it right at that temperature. Over the last couple of years, now I've gone through back through all my logs, I've been able to see approximately when it started to go wonky on me. In other words, it would take a very long time to cool, and then it would fluctuate around quite a bit based on the type of driving I was doing. And that's a clear sign that the thermostat is not opening and closing with any reasonable consistency around the temperature it's designed to open and close at. And that's aggravating because I don't like taking off this thermostat housing. Every time you break a seal, you got to worry about leaks again. And I'm getting kind of tired of it. Plus the bolts for the thermostat and the way the hoses are connected to it are kind of awkward to get to. And so I've just pretty much had it. So this time I'm going to replace it with the genuine Motorcraft unit. Even though it's probably made in Mexico, it's still made to essentially Ford standards. So let's hope that this one fulfills the function that it's supposed to fulfill and not just taking up space inside the water system. All right, so that's a pretty good synopsis of what I'm going to be doing over the next video or two. And this is getting long already, so I'm going to start pulling junk apart. More juice. So, all right, back with me. This is Radiator Hose, and this is the overflow container hose. Over here. Just put it look at hiding wiring. Makes it short. This next stuff we need to. That's what's that. All right, so. Okay. All right. Okay. And cooling unit shall sort of up. So that's one. That's two. And here we go. Oh, faithful. Dripping all over. Oh, yeah, baby. Why even have a spigot on the bottom of a radiator if it doesn't drain all the stuff? Why? I mean, what's the point? I got like maybe a quart and a half from draining it with the spigot, and the rest comes out when I undo all the hoses. It's pointless. But now that it's decided to get rid of most of its juice, I'll pull it the rest of the way out. There we go. All right, on to the next step. I'm going to take off this upper hose here, get it out of the way, then I'm going to loosen up the alternator bracket, take the belt off. There we go. This alternator's main connection is a 10mm. See right there, if I'd had that thing still connected when I set that wrench like that, that would have been Spark City. If you've never melted a wrench before, it's pretty cool. There we go. Out of the way. This is my main breaker, in case anybody was wondering. 175 amp. This can't draw that much, but in the case of a dead short, that should blow. The alternator would be toast by that point, but at least it wouldn't cause a fire. All right, for the power steering pump, they all have to come out. Even if you take off this bottom one here, you're not going to be able to pull it out. So I'm just going to loosen up these guys. That'll make the pump just kind of be able to pull out. And then I'll loosen this one up, pull the whole thing off, and I'll set it aside. Not going to break the system. All right, next up is going to be to remove these two hoses. There we go. All right, so the lower radiator hose is next. This is a brand new hose though, so I think she's pretty much ready to come off. Yeah, you can see some coolant down in there. I don't know if you can. Let me take the light. Definitely got some leakage going on, and I knew I did. Sorry, that's one thing that prompted this. So, yeah, got some leakage there, and I had some leakage on this side too. And you can see that there's a good bit of gunk in this area here. That tells me that that front cover seal is probably not liking life all that much right now. That's going to be a pain. I mean, it's not a pain, but it is a pain. Oh man, I'm just wondering. Oh, I can't remember if I have to. Man, if I'm just thinking to myself, I might have to take that balancer off in order to get that front cover off. What a pain in the butt. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh well, if I have to, I have to. You guys are laughing at me right now because you already know that I have to. The front seal's not leaking right now. Dang it, I didn't really want to do that. I did want to replace the balancer though, even though the stock one is doing its job, I guess. They make much better balancers, and it makes the engine run much better if you've got a precision balancer on it. Wow. Dang, I forgot about that. Oh well. You know, I said I liked wrenching, so I'm not gonna complain. It's just, let me see what I can do. Let's go ahead and knock the water pump off of there first. So that's going to be, yeah, 9/16, 5/8, and 1/2. Take your pick. Nice. That front cover goes over the balancer. You pecker. I forgot about that. All right, so without disturbing you guys too much, just get you in there a little closer. So down, down, down. You can see the top end of a couple bolts sticking out there from the oil pan. Here and there. And those come up from the bottom of the oil pan. And there's another one on the corners there too. So there's there's 2 bolts right there. The last 2 bolts on the oil pan on both sides screw into the front cover. You also got the timing pointer over there. And yeah, I have 0 leaks on that front seal. And which just drives me nuts that I'm going to have to break that. Okay, so 2 things are going to wind up happening now. I'm going to stop this here in a minute. Is that we're going to take this front cover. I'm going to take this front cover off and replace the seal because it's leaking. I mean, there's no getting around it. I did my best. It lasted almost, you know, the better part of 10 years, but it's leaking around here and it's leaking on this side too. And I'm just not going to be able to deal with that. So front cover's got to come off, which means the balancer's got to come off, which means that I'll need to order a new seal for the front cover. Timing pointer comes next. (15/16) bolt, by the way. There you go. And that's that. That'll torque back in. All right, there's a number of different ways you can pull the balancer. You can't really get a 3-drop puller on that because of the difference in the sizes, and it won't reach around behind it to get it without making some kind of back plate. You can use a puller like this, and there's a couple things to keep in mind. What I'm going to do is put this on 2 of the holes on the balancer, run the screw down, and force it out that way. But to get it started, I'm actually going to keep the original bolt in there to push against initially. And what that'll do is keep me from wrecking the threads that are on it.
Blowing away at the same time. It's not like cold wind, it's not even a muggy wind, it's just chilly.
Okay, it's off. What was giving me fits is that there's dowels. There's a dowel there and a dowel there. And that combined with the seal from the RTV and stuff that I used on it before, you can't pry off it from the top because it's just going to bind up on these two dowels. So once I took two very dull and unassuming, you know, once you get a crack that you can get into, you can just pry it off like that, and it just fell off. And I'll go in and clean it all up and everything, and try to fish out what I can from the oil pan down there that I can see. I can see a couple chunks of gasket. There's a really large gasket area here, so if you use a lot of RTV in these areas here, that's just going to make it really hard to come off. So the next gasket that I put on, I'm not going to use near as much, if any, just to make sure that I can get it. Timing chain looks good still. Double roller I put on there from when I put the engine together the first time. And that's pretty funny. It's at TDC, and I can tell by the dots that it's actually on the compression number 1 stroke because they're lined up. At any rate, I can finally move on. I'll get stuff cleaned up the best I can, investigate any schmutz that fell into the oil pan, try to get it out, clean it up, the front cover, and now I'm just waiting on parts. So that was a pain. That was really frustrating. Sorry I didn't get the last money shot, but it just fell off and I wasn't sure if it was going to work. Sometimes I debate as to whether it's good to watch you guys, or have you guys watch me flounder around, or just explain what I did when I get it done. I hate looking dumb on camera, but you know what? Hey, sometimes it's a lot easier to put something together than to take it apart. I've taken these off before, but I don't remember it being that much of a pain. So anyways, moving on.